welcome to Ballot Meridian election coverage on HOMTV. I'm Brett Cast, and joining us for this candidate interview is Ann Sundland, Democratic candidate for Meridian Township Board Trustee. Welcome. Would you like to take a minute to introduce yourself?
Yes, I am Ann Sundland, and I'm running for the Democratic ticket for Meridian Township Board Trustee. I have been a resident of Meridian Township for 35 years. I've built 2 homes in Meridian Township. I have 2 children that graduated from Hazlitt High School, and I want to get more involved in the community. I've recently retired from the state of Michigan and thought this would be a challenge, it would be interesting, and I thought, giving back to the community after 35 years.
Thank you. Each Meridian Township Board Trustee candidate will be asked a standard list of 12 questions. So let's get started with question number 1. What qualifications do you bring to the position of Township Trustee?
Okay, well, part of it is that, I am a 35-year resident of the community. During those 35 years, I raised 2 children, built 2 homes. So I was involved in the community from a citizen perspective. I was the sports mom, every sport you can think of, track, soccer, basketball, volleyball. So I had the ability to meet a lot of families in the community. I was also a Girl Scout troop leader. So in that aspect, I was involved with a lot of the young ladies and families in my daughter's grade. And so the whole time I've been working for the state of Michigan in human resources. 20 years at the Department of Treasury and 6 years at the Civil Service Commission. So in order to perform that job, I really need to have strong research skills and decision-making skills. So that's what I would bring to this position is my background. I had to, during my 26 years of state experience, we've had Republican, Democratic people in office. In human resources, our goal is to assist them in accomplishing their goals. So would have to go in and whatever they needed to have done, I was the person they went to for the solutions. So that's what I would bring Meridian Township.
All right, and question number 2, explain what you know about policy governance and whether or not you believe it is serving the community members in the township.
Yes, policy governance is that you're going to have a board who's involved with the decision making on the goals of the community versus your staff, your administrative staff are going to be more involved in day-to-day operations. I believe that's what Meridian Township has set up at the time, and I think it's a good policy because your board members are elected officials, and so we are representing what the citizens are asking for in our vote. I think each board member should have research whatever topic it is and have an independent vote on the topic, having researched it and listened to all sides and listening to the community on what they want. So yes, I believe we actually have it in place and that it's working well.
Now, question number 3, the township, much like other municipalities across the state, is facing huge pension liabilities. What direction would you like to see the board take on the position if elected?
Now, I've worked for the state of Michigan for 26 years, and then we were facing the same issue. In 1998, the state of Michigan, any new hires went into a defined contribution system, and they matched it like corporations. I think that that might not be a bad idea with new hires to Meridian Township, and go from there. I think you have to support the people you already have in the pension system. They're counting on that. So.
And question number 4, what essential functions of the township would you like to see improved and why?
I think we need to improve our business development. From what I've heard in the past, that Meridian Township right now doesn't exactly have a good reputation for listening to the businesses and what their needs are. And I've heard that we've had several businesses that actually said, made a proposal, it was made difficult for them. So they said, never mind, I'll go somewhere else. And so we need to be working with the businesses in any manner that we can to help them be successful so that they can grow a business in Meridian Township. So I think that's where we need to improve.
And question number 5, what do you feel about the Michigan Brownfield program and the impact it may or may not have on the community?
Well, I think the Brownfield program is an excellent program for environmental cleanup. I think what's happening now is that a lot of businesses are seeing it as a negotiation tool for a tax break. So they might legitimately have some brownfield needs, and I think those we should be working with. But we have to be careful that we're not just using it as like a tax rebate for companies when it's not truly an environmental cleanup. We want to make sure, and I think what I've observed at township meetings is that the companies, they might come in and say, oh gee, I want such and such figure for brownfield, and then we'll say, well, we're not sure, that seems a little high. They'll come back with an alternative proposal, and it might be something that is acceptable. So I think that's where brownfield has been going. I think it's been used a little bit too much for non-environmental issues. So I think we need to work on that.
And question number 6, Meridian Township is undergoing a branding campaign. How would you describe the brand image of the township?
Well, I think our brand image needs to focus on what a wonderful community we're in. We have parks, we have places for families to go and live in the community and enjoy themselves as families. We have excellent school systems. Again, we have our parks, we have our lakes. This is a great community to raise your children in, and I think that's what we need to focus on. I did see a statistic where growth isn't as high as we thought it was going to be, and I'm not sure why, but we need to focus on getting the young families in our community who want to be here for our schools, our parks. I think that's what we need to focus on. And we also need to focus on businesses if we get the families coming here, then the businesses will know that they have a market to target. So I think it all goes together.
And question number 7, what do you believe are the needs of the community, and explain how you plan to meet those needs or expand upon those needs?
Well, that's interesting. I think I was just talking about that. I think the community needs to grow with the young families coming in and wanting to be a vibrant community. So we need to have businesses here that the young families are looking for, and not just the young families, I mean all families, but in order to grow, I think we need to have a good match with the businesses coming in and what people want. So.
And question number 8, what is your opinion regarding medical marijuana and the local municipality's role, if any?
Well, medical marijuana is something that the citizens voted for. So I believe that we need to get it implemented for people who have the medical marijuana cards. What I'm hearing from other township members is that we have a fair number of regulations in place for any kind of business, that we just have to be careful where we place the dispensaries. We don't want to be near schools, and we don't want to put our young people so that they're tempted. But I believe we have a lot of regulations in place already on businesses. I heard it similar to somebody who sells alcohol. So I think we got the regulations in place. We just need to move forward with it so that it is available to the citizens who voted for medical marijuana.
And question number 9, what approach do you propose to address blight in the township?
I thought that was an interesting question because, to be honest, I have not seen a lot of blight in Meridian Township. So I wasn't quite sure what that meant. I know what blight means in the city of Detroit. I know what blight means in the city of Lansing, the abandoned houses. And so I'm not sure I've seen a whole lot of that in Meridian Township. Address blight. We need to keep growing. We need to get the right businesses in here, and we need to make sure we continue looking at our neighborhoods. Perhaps the sidewalk improvement was considered taking care of blight. That was a good improvement in my neighborhood. I know I would be walking along and I'd trip on the uneven sidewalk. So it wasn't really blight, but that's the only thing I can think of, just to keep improving, keep an eye out for issues in the community, listen to the citizens as to what they think is blight and see if we can address it. Whether it's a general assessment, a special assessment, a special mill.
And question number 10, do you believe the township is doing enough to help the business districts thrive in the township? Why or why not?
I think Meridian Township can do more. From what I've heard in the past, that there have been some businesses who wanted to come to the community, and I don't know if it was like a long-standing regulation or if there was something in place, but I've heard that businesses ended up not coming to Meridian Township over something kind of small. It would seem kind of insignificant. Like I've heard Tim Hortons, the drive-through was on the wrong side, and so they said, never mind, and went down by Chandler Crossing instead. I've heard of a restaurant that wanted to build. I don't even know what the issues were, but what I heard is that there were so many issues, it was going to cost the developer or the business owner a substantial amount of money, and they just kind of gave up on it. So I think we need to be more friendly to businesses and work with them. I've also heard that we have recently hired someone full-time to work on that, so I think that's a big improvement. Maybe they can go out, you know, we've got like the L&L little complex in Hazlet. I heard that there was a dispute between the owners of the property and the person who wanted to come in and rent. That was never resolved, and so they didn't come in. Maybe we need to be talking to the owners to really find out what are they looking for so that we know up front, and maybe we can be proactive and help recruit, get businesses in, but knowing what they're offering so that there's a better match. So that doesn't happen. I think that's what we need to do, is put a little bit more time being proactive rather than just reactive to businesses coming in.
Question number 11, please address the condition of Meridian Township's infrastructure.
From what I understand, we're doing pretty well. In our urban services districts, you know, we're committed to having an appropriate infrastructure. I'm not aware of a lot of infrastructure problems, so I think Meridian Township is doing well. So I haven't heard anything from citizens door to door, oh my gosh, this is terrible. You know, like Flint and their water, we have a good water system, and I think we have a good sewage system. And I think our plan is to keep the urban services district with available infrastructure. So,
moving on to our last question, question 12. What do you consider to be the top 2 challenges facing Meridian Township?
well, I kind of talked about this before. I think we need to continue bringing in families to Meridian Township. It appears that we're not growing as much as we thought we were. If we have the people, then the businesses are going to want to come in too, because then they have a market. So I think we need to work on getting families wanting to move to Meridian Township. I think we need to work on getting businesses, you know, the right kind of businesses into Meridian Township that would support families and provide them with what they're looking for. Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you. At this time, we have finished the standard list of questions with Kathy Ann Sundland, who is a Democratic candidate for Meridian Township Board Trustee, and we have some time remaining. I have some follow-up questions, if you don't mind. I guess the first question would be, after going through the list of questions, were there any topics that you wanted to discuss or anything to touch on that weren't included in the list of questions?
No, I think this list of questions was pretty thorough. One of the issues that appears to be in our community right now that seems to be a really hot topic is the BRT and the transit system that they're proposing. I do know I have had several citizens approach me and say, we are not for this. We think that it's disruptive to our community. It might be appropriate in East Lansing. I mean, when you think about it, they've got that green area in the middle of East Lansing that they could easily put in something. But I've also heard that the businesses in Meridian Township, some of them that would be affected by the BRT are totally against it. They're like, we wouldn't have come here if we'd known you were going to do this. So I think what works in East Lansing may not work in Meridian Township on that. So I know that's a really hot topic. I've had neighbors in my neighborhood approach me, and when they found out I was running for board trustee, what's your position on the BRT? So I think we need something different. I'm for mass transit, but I think that's not the right answer. So.
And a lot of our questions, you talk about business growth, families moving in. Kind of a trend has been a lot of student housing projects wanting to come into Meridian Township. What are your thoughts on that?
From what I have heard, as far as feedback, as I go door to door, is that we would prefer not to continue with the big student developments. That it's really not an investment in our long-term growth. It kind of is a draw on our services that we're offering and not really a benefit to the community. Although, some of those young people might stay, but I don't think that's going in the right direction either.
And talking about a lot of business growth, I guess, where would you see the township right now? The growth of the township is moving forward, and as it is right now, do you want to see the growth continue to stay at that same pace, or maybe increase, or maybe decrease, or I guess what's your thought on that?
Well, I mean, growth is good, but we don't want to go too fast, and we don't want to bring in businesses that are a huge duplication of what we already have. So yeah, no, I think we're going along at the right speed. From what I'm hearing right now is that in the past, Meridian Township has been a little bit of a slow growth area for businesses, that things were being turned down. I've heard, and I don't have any specifics, just this is the feedback I'm receiving, that we may have flip-flopped. We may be in a trend where we're bringing in too much at once. So I think we need to balance that. I think we need to be somewhere in the middle.
I guess, what kind of businesses do you foresee coming to township, or what do you think would be beneficial to the township?
Gosh, that's a good question. And I was just thinking about that earlier. I don't have an answer for you right now. I mean, just a variety of businesses, looking at young people and young families and what would benefit them. I love the coffee shops, yeah. And I love, the retail that we've had, maybe a little bit more homegrown retail. Love the farmer's market idea, but that's not really, well, that's business, that's small business owners. I think that could be expanded. So just a variety of businesses. I didn't have anything particular in mind.
Gotcha. Well, we're coming down to the end of our show here. Would you like to take this opportunity to kind of give a closing statement?
Sure. So I'm Kathy Sundland. I'm running on the Democratic ticket for the Meridian Board Trustee position, and I would appreciate your vote on the August 2nd primary.
All right, well, thank you very much for being with us today. This has been a candidate interview with Kathy Ann Sundland, Democratic candidate for Meridian Township Board Trustee. I'm Brett Cast, inviting you to watch ballot Meridian election coverage right here on HOMTV.